Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cali LaVale channel. Thanks for tuning in, subscribing, and checking out the interesting content. Shout out to All Asian Dilemmas, because I didn't record this, but they recorded something that caught my eye, and I wanted to give my opinion on it with my 2 cents. So let's see what this one of the many young ladies were talking about. Let's go. Oh, what's going on? Come on.
Do you know why it's so easy for foreign men to find Chinese women? Have you noticed that? Many foreigners, in their own countries, might be nobodies. Maybe they can't even get a job in Hong Kong. But when these foreigners come to China, they suddenly become very sought after. Chinese men are facing intense competition to find a partner, but these foreigners can date 3 or 4 girlfriends a month here in China, and it's something quite common. Are they treating Chinese women as a pastime? Some women think that foreigners are so fancy and voluntarily throw themselves at them, becoming what we call bootlickers. If you're this proactive, why not find a Chinese man to spoil you? Wouldn't that be better?
If you follow the channel, you may have noticed a similarity in the demands of most women who appear in the videos. A common demand among them is that a man should earn at least 300,000 yuan, with the ideal being around 500,000 per year. To put this in context, a middle-class person in China earns, on average, between 100,000 and 500,000 yuan annually. With an annual income of $48,000, an American positions himself at the lower end of the middle class in the United States, where the definition of middle class ranges from $48,500 to $146,000 per year for a family of 3. In China, about 30% of the population is considered middle class. Therefore, an American earning $4,000 a month would be in a financial position that exceeds the minimum income for the middle class in China, placing him at a higher level compared to most Chinese people in that range.
And keep in mind the conversion of the money. So let's convert that real quick. So United States dollar equal to the Chinese yuan is $7.02. Ooh. Well, let's check something out. What'd they say? 40,000? Damn. So $40,000 over there is 28,000. See the difference? So let's say you make 100,000. Yeah, you cleaning up over there for real. So that's crazy. That's crazy. So $100 is $700 over there. So it's so many times more versus over here in America. So if we take that over there, we balling. That's 2 months worth of groceries. Maybe even 3, depending on where you go. So we go back and see what they're talking about.
This is a theory that suggests why Chinese women may be more attracted to foreign men. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Share your opinion in the comments.
Why is it so easy for foreigners to date women in China, while it's extremely difficult for Chinese men to do the same?
Because of the currency difference, baby. That's why. I just went over
Some
that.
foreigners even date 4 or 5 Chinese girlfriends in a month, practically treating Chinese women as their
Tricking.
pastime. Recently, there was a case online about a university student who became obsessed with a foreigner living in Africa, only to end up with a very tragic life.
Damn.
This is a pretty realistic reflection of the situation. Yet, there are still some women who believe that foreigners, because they come from abroad, are gentlemen, passionate, romantic, wealthy, and sophisticated, which gives them status.
What a
They
joke.
willingly become what we call bootlickers. In reality, many of these foreigners are doing poorly in their own countries. Some can't even find a job, and that's why they come to China.
Passport bros, where you at? Oh, it's quiet. They cooking y'all tonight. I mean, I got my passport, but I don't travel for women. I travel for culture and food, and pretty much I put the sex tourism last.
You don't even need to talk about marriage, cars, houses, or dowries. Many of these foreigners will even split the bill with you at dinner. So why are they so highly valued in China? Because there's a part of these women whose vanity is fueling this phenomenon, idolizing foreigners and clinging to superficial luxuries.
Have you noticed that it's really easy for foreigners to date Chinese women? But for Chinese men, getting a wife is harder than reaching the sky? Some foreigners can date multiple girlfriends in a single month, practically treating Chinese women as toys for their amusement. Previously, there was a widely discussed case of a university student who married a foreigner in Africa and had a very tragic experience. Even now, many girls still believe that foreign men are romantic, wealthy, and gentlemanly. With just a few sweet words, they dive in headfirst, unable to pull themselves out. Don't always assume that foreigners are rich. In fact, some of them are doing very poorly in their own countries.
Especially if they're young. If they're young and they going over there like that, like everybody going to Thailand and the Philippines for the wrong reasons. See, understand that most of the young people, it's a mix. Because see, you have the older, middle age, or should I say, the boomers that are retiring versus the younger guys that are working remotely and just pretty much having a good time, which nothing is wrong with that. But a lot of times, a lot of tricking is going on too. But hey.
And you still expect to marry a foreigner and get a car, a house, and a dowry? Some of them won't even pay for dinner. They prefer to split the bill. In China, there's a portion of women whose vanity is really strong, which makes foreigners so highly valued here, and that's why they end up being deceived. To all the friends watching this video, what do you think? Are foreign men better, or are Chinese men better?
See, understand, this 50-50 shit is so American, it's not even funny. So when you go to these other countries and you trying to go Dutch on the bill, it's like, what? See, women aren't used to paying for dates or pitching in on dates in other countries. I don't know who made this shit up here in America, but see, back in the day, even in the old school, we look at the 1950s, 60s movies, a lot of the times, the man paid for the date. So I don't know when this 50-50 shit came up. Because back in the day in America, it was mostly men that provided, pursued, and protected. But now, it's a lot of women that are doing it too. So, and a lot of the older women don't mind doing that in America because they could pretty much tell that younger guy that doesn't have a lot what to do. So that's why things are the way they are here in America.
Why is it so easy for foreigners to pursue women in China, while for Chinese men it's harder than reaching the sky? Some foreigners can even date 4, 5, 6, or even 8 Chinese girlfriends in a single month, practically treating Chinese women as toys to pass the time. Recently, a widely circulated story online is about a university student, Chen Yi, who married a foreigner in Africa and ended up living a very tragic experience. Chen Yi was not only beautiful but also a good student, and she had countless suitors, but she rejected them all. She became interested in a black exchange student and, for love, decided to follow him to Africa. Little did she know that he already had 2 wives and 3 children.
Damn.
Once she arrived, her passport was confiscated.
Whoa.
From then on, she could never return, living a life filled with challenges in Africa. Chen Yi's father tried everything he could to bring her back, but after seeking help everywhere with no success, he ultimately couldn't bear it anymore and committed suicide by drinking pesticide.
Not her father. And he's not even there. Oh man, we're doomed. Uh-oh.
Reflection of the situation. Yet there is still a portion of women who believe that foreigners, because they come from abroad, are gentlemen, romantic and wealthy, which gives them status. That's why they are willing to become what we call bootlickers. In reality, many of these foreigners are struggling in their own countries, some can't even find jobs, and that's why they come to China seeking a way out. Don't even mention dowries, houses or cars. These foreigners will even split the bill when they go out to dinner.
And that's sad. If you really... listen, if you go into other countries asking girls to split, man, what's the point? Oh, that's right. Yeah, you paid $2,000, $3,000 for the flight. You went out there broke. You saved up all this money to fly out there, and you don't want to spend no money, but you don't realize that you're not spending that much money once you get there because of the currency value. So even if you do Uber over there, rideshare, it's going to be a lot cheaper than doing it over here. Oh, man. And see, a lot of times, a lot of these guys that are going over there, they're in debt, or they're about to be in debt. They're about to get divorced, or they're about to get slapped with child support. So they figure they'll go ahead and get it in before they get hit with all the fines.
Why are they so valued in China? Because there's a part of these women whose vanity leads them to idolize foreigners, clinging to superficial things, which is why so many Chinese women get deceived. I want to remind these women, do we all understand that the grass isn't always greener on the other side? The men at home are the best, Chinese men are the best. Think carefully about this. Friends, what do you think?
Frequently, some people in the comments ask me why I decided to marry a foreigner. I want to explain that. Before, I also had boyfriends in China. One of them really liked to play mahjong all night. Another one, who was younger than me, liked to go to bars to sing. And about my first love, he had violent tendencies, so I felt like I couldn't find someone suitable. I was worried before, wondering if my husband might be married or if he was a scammer. So, we only got married after knowing each other for 8 years, understanding each other during that time.
To the late Kevin Samuels, the limit was 2 years. So that's 8 years of pretty much wasting time because you wanted to explore all your other options that you thought you had. But you go back and say, well, enough time has gone by, so let's just throw in the towel.
After getting married, we argue because of cultural differences and living habits. We might argue even more than you do, but we never fight physically, and we never argue in front of the child.
Stop lying.
When we argue, we speak in English so that the child doesn't understand. For example, I like to dress the children beautifully, but he doesn't like that. He says the children should wear more comfortable and breathable clothes, which end up being quite plain. When it comes to food, I like to let the children try everything, but he doesn't want them to eat seafood because he fears allergies. He also doesn't want them to eat too many strawberries for the same reason. I tell him they've already eaten them and never had allergies, so it's fine for them to eat. And so, these little things lead us to argue and create conflicts. Overall, my husband is better than many men. For example, he helps take care of the child and does household chores like folding clothes. He never lets me fold clothes because he says I don't do it as well as he does. He also never asks me to help him wash clothes. I only need to wash my own and the child's, and he doesn't let me hang the clothes to dry because he says I don't do it neatly.
It don't sound like that marriage is gonna last that long. Sounds like a fucking headache. That's what it sounds like. Oh my God. The things that people put up with just to, once the children are there, you pretty much have to do the best you can to keep y'all's marriage, y'all little family going on, unless, well, I don't want to say he gonna get hit with child support, but, because see, you got to understand, women abroad, they're not too fond of filing child support because a lot of times they come from countries that don't even have that. But I believe China does. I didn't research enough, but I don't really pay attention to all that child support shit because I know that's primarily a problem here in the States. So I'm pretty sure they have their own little thing to do over there about that. But anyway.
He is a person who pursues perfection. When he has free time, he takes us out to play, and it's not like some men who leave their wives and children at home and go out to have fun with friends. He never does that, and he doesn't drink or smoke. He only smokes a pack every 2 days.
Just said he didn't smoke.
How did I end up marrying this old American man who is 20 years older than me? The first claim is that I came to America to get a green card and, having no other choice, ended up marrying an old American man. The second claim is that I am lazy, don't want to work, and looked for someone to support me, so I found an old American man. First of all, regarding the first claim, I have never been to America. On the contrary, I met this foreigner in China. Although I was already a divorced woman with a child, marrying a foreigner was definitely not part of my plan.
Of course it wasn't. He had something that you wanted, so you went ahead. But it's like deal or no deal. He saw something he wanted, and she saw something that she wanted, which was money, status, and basically a soft life.
In fact, due to various setbacks, I had secretly made up my mind that I would never marry again and would spend the second half of my life with my daughter. I had no confidence in myself, so I didn't want to waste time, energy, or emotions. Just at that moment, this foreigner appeared in my life. Faced with an American man who, except for being older, was excellent in many ways, I think not many women who are in a low point and vulnerable can resist, because receiving help in difficult times is much more precious than receiving help when things are going well. So, I chose this old American man without hesitation. He went to great lengths to bring me and my child to live in America, and, no matter how difficult it was, he gave us a right to permanent residency in the United States. This is how I came to America, how I stayed in America, and how I married this foreigner. Now, regarding the second claim, that I found this old American man because I am lazy. In fact, it is precisely the opposite. It was after marrying him that I could be lazy, because he allowed me not to have to work outside, only to...
He wanted something wait for him when he got home. And I'm pretty sure this guy is retired, but it's like, okay. So basically, there's still people that want to be housewives. Some people don't want to be housewives. But when you're in situations like this, suppose he decided to leave you, or he passed on and now you have to fight with his side of the family, and you're this foreigner in America who probably doesn't know anybody or doesn't have any family there. Hopefully you do. If not, you could pretty much connect. There's like a lot of Chinese people in America, so I'm pretty sure she could use WeChat or something to, you know, get close to her people in a close community, close by wherever the hell she lives. But yeah,
take care of the child. He also told me that being a full-time housewife is a very respectable profession. Therefore, I have known this foreigner for 7 years and I haven't worked for 6 years, but my life is completely stress-free, and that is what gives me confidence. I imagine some people might ask, do you really like this life? I don't like this life because, although I'm not a career-driven strong woman who can have a successful career, I was also someone who worked hard to make a living. But I like the life I have now, because this life is what I wanted most during the difficult times, when I was working hard and struggling to live. At that time I thought, when can I sleep and wake up naturally? When can I see expensive perfumes and skincare products in stores and buy them without hesitation? What I wanted most was to live with my child without being apart, without having to see each other only twice a year and spending just 3 months together in a year of 12 months. These were perhaps once my dreams. When I was struggling to achieve these dreams, it was this old American man, whom many people look down on, who helped me realize them. So rather than saying that I like the life I have now, it's more accurate to say that I cherish the life I have now even more. Every day, my child and husband are by my side, and at least I feel simple and happy. And as ordinary women, what do we seek? Isn't it just a stable, secure, and comfortable life? That's why I have been so lazy in recent years.
I hope this dude ain't got no daughter. Or, proper English, I hope he doesn't have any daughters her age, because you already know it's a lot of fussing going on between Pops and his new wife. I mean, like I said, deal or no deal, right? I mean, this type of stuff happens all the time. This was probably the best he could get, and this was probably the best she could do, because pretty much these are both two people that stood in last place pretty much, because nobody back in China wanted to marry the single mother versus this older man that didn't want a woman the same age as him with a lot of problems and baggage, right? So he had to go younger, which she still had baggage, but she had her youth and another man's child. Now, the good thing is the father is not going to come to America just to look for this girl. I highly doubt it. And whoever the father is, he's probably average.
In summary, it is this old American man who has spoiled me.
Why is it so easy for foreigners to pursue women in Shanghai? Meanwhile, for Chinese men, finding a partner is even more difficult. There's no comparison that doesn't hurt. Here in Shanghai, some foreigners can have 5 or 6 girlfriends in a single month.
That's because they tricking. It's called pay for play. You get what you want, straight to the point. If you flash some cash, but most regular, or should I say average people, don't have the ability to do that. The average person could barely afford to take somebody out on a date. So, I mean, what do you expect? The highest bidder wins.
Without repeating any. They treat Chinese women as mere entertainment. And these women don't even know what they're looking for.
Nope.
They think foreigners are stylish and, by taking them out, it brings status. Many women from other places come to Shanghai just to have more contact with these foreigners, thinking it's a cosmopolitan city full of resources. But in reality, many foreigners are struggling in their own countries. Some can't even find work and come to China in debt. Don't talk to me about marriage, houses, or cars, because for even splitting a meal, they already want to go Dutch. But for some Chinese women, this is considered chic, freedom, and equality. They say that people from Shanghai should meet each other, but foreigners get treated differently. For them, being blonde with blue eyes is enough to surpass millions in wealth. This makes us feel that, even as respectable men, it's hard to compete. Some say that Chinese men save money to buy a house, making sacrifices in their lifestyle, while Chinese women are not interested in that. On the other hand, foreign men spend their money, living a life full of passion and excitement.
Versus back there, they save up their money for their next generation of family. Versus us, we spend it on luxury, expensive Mercedes, BMW vehicles and stuff, while they find property to invest in. You see the difference? They spend their money more frugally. Unlike us, we buy a bunch of stupid shit. So, can't blame them. Why do you think these guys are going off? Because the same women they wanted, this American just came over here and just splurged out all this money. Lamborghini pulled up in front of the club. 2 girls got it. Well, most Lamborghinis only got 2. Not unless you had a Lamborghini truck. You can fit about 3 or 4 other girls in there.
We work hard for a better life, while for women, this seems to mean nothing. The heart of women is like a needle at the bottom of the sea. We can't understand it. As a middle-aged man who has worked hard in Shanghai and achieved success, I give my brothers a piece of advice. We must learn to befriend wealth and unite with ambitious people. When you have a career, wealth, and status, there's no reason to worry about not winning over a beautiful woman. In Shanghai, stay tuned to the real estate market, learn a little about properties every day, and turn Chinese men into the targets that women all over the world desire. What do you think makes foreign men so popular in China? Let's discuss it in the comments section.
It's mainly Americans that they're talking about. And maybe even guys from Dubai too, because that's a rich nation as well. So you have all these business people, these elite businessmen coming over to China and just cleaning out house. See, the thing is, we've seen what happens to the large, famous people in America. It all started with Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. Now it's Diddy, and Jay-Z is next. So all these guys that are able to go anywhere and just get the girls of everybody's dreams, it all falls down.
I am D.A. Jun. Follow me for tips on buying and selling properties and to help you succeed.
If you stop to think and put the numbers on paper, it might be cheaper to date a Chinese woman than a woman here in the West. I read the comments and noticed that the audience criticizes the high demands a lot, especially regarding money and the bizarre requirements of older women. But for you, living in modern society, there are only 2 options. Either you stay single, or you take the risk of dating, regardless of the demands. After this video, it became clear that, technically, the relationship between supply and demand between Chinese women and Western women, even with so many requirements, in my opinion, ends up being more worthwhile. But I prefer to stay single. I want to know what you think about this topic. Would you date a Chinese woman or one from the West? Or do you prefer to stay single? If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up.
I like the video and I give it a thumbs up. I'd rather just date a Chinese girl, because I know I wouldn't have to put up with half of the bullshit that I have to deal with back here, other than being black, but whatever.